Most wars don't announce themselves with a speech. They don't begin with a dramatic declaration or a countdown clock on your screen. They begin quietly, with a strike that feels limited, with a headline that says retaliation, with analysts on television promising containment. And then one morning you wake up and realize the containment failed. That morning is now, because what just happened between the United States, Israel, and Iran is not a skirmish. It is not a warning shot. It is not a symbolic show of force. It is the assassination of a ruling head of state, followed by open, declared retaliation across an entire region. And history has a very clear pattern when that happens. Let's strip the emotion away and look at the structure. A coordinated U.S.-Israeli operation struck deep inside Iran. Not a border site, not a proxy militia, not a weapons convoy in Syria. Tehran, multiple cities hit, hundreds of targets, air power, cruise missiles, precision operations. And then the moment that changed the calculation, Iran's supreme leader was killed. Not rumored, not wounded, confirmed dead by both Israeli leadership and the U.S. president in public remarks. That single event redraws the map. When a superpower eliminates the head of a sovereign state that has ruled since 1989, a nation of over 90 million people, you are no longer in the realm of limited conflict. You are in state-to-state war, and Iran did not hesitate. Missiles and drones launched toward Israel. Strikes reported against U.S. installations in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. The IRGC publicly claiming attacks on multiple American bases, hypersonic systems reportedly used in follow-up waves. This is not proxy warfare. This is direct confrontation. Now here's where it becomes structurally dangerous. Every major modern world war followed the same architecture: a targeted strike, retaliation framed as justified, alliances activating, economic shockwaves, escalation pressure from domestic politics. We are currently sitting at stage 3 because 10 days before this explosion, something happened that barely trended online. Russia, China, and Iran conducted joint naval drills in the Strait of Hormuz, Maritime Security Belt 2026, anti-ship cruise missile drills, naval drones, submarine coordination, a public statement about building a multipolar order in the oceans. That was not symbolic. That was positioning. And now the Strait of Hormuz, the single most critical oil choke point on Earth, is effectively closed. Let's pause on that. At its narrowest, the strait is about 21 miles wide. Roughly a fifth of the world's traded oil passes through it. Massive LNG shipments, energy lifelines to Asia and Europe. For decades, through revolutions, tanker wars, sanctions, even direct naval skirmishes, it stayed open. Now ships are reporting radio warnings, transit restricted, insurance rates spiking, tankers rerouting. Energy markets do not care about political speeches. They react to disruption. If even a quarter of that flow stalls for weeks, you don't just get higher gas prices. You get inflation pressure, food supply strain, airline cancellations, shipping cost spikes, manufacturing slowdowns. You feel it in groceries, flights, deliveries, utilities. Wars that begin overseas arrive at your kitchen table through economics long before they arrive militarily. Now layer in the next dimension. Russia has condemned the strike sharply. China has accused Washington of destabilizing the nuclear order. Those are words for now, but alliance wars are rarely intentional at the beginning. World War I did not begin because someone wanted a global conflict. It began because treaty systems and national pride created automatic responses. If Russian or Chinese naval forces begin escorting Iranian vessels through the strait, if military advisors move from symbolic to operational roles, if advanced weapon systems start appearing on Iranian soil, the escalation curve steepens instantly, and the nuclear variable sits quietly in the background. Iran reportedly holds highly enriched uranium at levels that are a short technical step from weapons grade. That does not mean a weapon exists, but incentives matter. When a regime believes its survival is under direct attack, deterrence calculations shift dramatically. A state under existential pressure moves faster toward nuclear capability, not slower. Even a 1% chance of nuclear exchange between regional powers is not small when the outcome involves cities. The world operates on deterrence psychology, and deterrence becomes unstable when leaders are killed. Now bring it closer to home. The Department of Homeland Security issued alerts regarding potential retaliation inside the United States. Not missiles, cyber, infrastructure, power grids, water systems, financial networks, hospitals. Iran has spent years developing asymmetric capabilities precisely because it cannot outmatch U.S. conventional forces. Cyber warfare does not require a carrier group. It requires access, and past breaches have shown that access exists. This is what modern war looks like. You don't see it marching down Main Street. You see it when systems flicker, when data is frozen, when pipelines shut down, when markets swing violently. And beyond cyber, there is the proxy dimension. Hezbollah, regional militias, aligned networks, even limited actions can create psychological shock far beyond their physical scale. That is how escalation spirals, not through one catastrophic event, but through a series of contained retaliations that accumulate. Now, here's the key question everyone is quietly asking. Is this already World War III? Not yet. Major nuclear powers have not declared war on one another. Regular Russian and Chinese units are not engaged in combat against American forces. But the structural components of a global war are present. Direct U.S.-Iran conflict, strategic naval positioning by rival superpowers, energy choke point disruption, nuclear threshold pressure, homeland security alerts. This is not a regional skirmish in isolation. It is a node in a much larger power rebalancing between East and West. And the timing matters. Diplomatic talks had reportedly shown progress just days before the strikes. When negotiations appear close and then collapse into military action, trust evaporates quickly. Without trust, de-escalation channels narrow. Wars expand when communication fails. Now let's talk psychology. Leaders on all sides face domestic audiences. Iran cannot appear weak after its supreme leader is killed. Israel cannot appear vulnerable after missile barrages. The United States cannot appear indecisive after initiating action. Russia and China cannot appear irrelevant in a region where they have strategic investments. Every capital is managing optics while calculating risk. And that mix, pride, perception, deterrence, is volatile. Oil traders are watching radar screens, military analysts are tracking fleet movements, cybersecurity firms are increasing threat levels, insurance markets are repricing risk overnight. This is how global tension feels before history books name it. Quietly severe. If Russian or Chinese forces move from observation to protection roles, escalation probability rises. If Iran accelerates nuclear steps, red lines shift. If a successful cyber strike hits U.S. infrastructure, political pressure intensifies instantly. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The most dangerous periods in modern history were not the ones where leaders intended global war. They were the ones where leaders believed they could control escalation. Control is an illusion once alliance systems begin activating. Right now, we are below the threshold of global war, but we are closer to it than at any point in years. The next 48 to 96 hours matter more than most people realize, because wars either expand quickly or they freeze into tense stalemates. Markets, militaries, and governments are all waiting to see which path this takes, and the public conversation is lagging behind the reality. This is not conspiracy. This is not mysticism. This is not prophecy. It is geopolitical structure. A superpower eliminated the leader of a regional power. That regional power retaliated broadly. Critical energy infrastructure is under threat. Rival global powers are positioned nearby. Cyber retaliation risks extend to American soil. That is a combustible equation. History teaches that when oil choke points close and alliance blocks activate simultaneously, the margin for error shrinks. The question now is not whether conflict exists. It does. The question is whether strategic restraint prevails or whether cumulative retaliation pushes the system past a point of no return. And here is why paying attention matters. The first casualty of war is clarity. Narratives harden, information fragments, fear replaces analysis. The only defense against that is understanding the structure of what is unfolding. Because when the world shifts, it does not send a calendar invite. It sends signals, and those signals are flashing. Watch the Strait. Watch Russian and Chinese naval posture. Watch uranium enrichment data. Watch cyber disruptions. Watch diplomatic channels. Those 5 indicators will tell you more about the trajectory than any headline will. We are standing at a hinge moment, not a guaranteed global war, but not business as usual. The edge of escalation is visible. What happens next depends on decisions being made right now in Washington, Tehran, Jerusalem, Moscow, and Beijing. Decisions that may determine whether this becomes a contained regional war or the opening chapter of something far larger. Stay alert, because history rarely feels historic while you're living inside it. It just feels tense, and this is one of the most tense moments of this generation.